the goal that we reach to. And we can do that if and only if everyone who's hearing us, who's recognizing what's going on, that this is resonating with, if you step forward and do your part. And that's what's going to bring us forward on that goal. This is one of those times that it really does matter how you lean in. And we know there's a lot of people listening online that are hearing us, and we need you to lean as well. And the difference will change the lives of some of the people in the Ukraine. And it doesn't get more powerful than that. Scott?
And I'll just real quickly, Paul, we won't be able to add up the total tonight, but we will be doing that over the next 24 hours or so because we're all in different locations. So we will be publishing that on Facebook and on the foundation webpage.
Yeah.
Bob, are we also going to be able to keep up with the strides you make in using these funds to advance, the training and, Doctors Without Borders, the relationship there? Is that going to be on the website too?
Yeah, there's quite a bit there right now. You'll see some video from the training that we did for Second Medical Union, the war trauma specialist from Ashkelon, Israel. There's video there, an interview that I did of her. You'll see postings on our collaboration with St. Scholastica, with the Surgical Innovation Center here in Ukraine. And then I'll be taking some video in Odessa. I'm headed to Odessa this evening by train, so I may be leaving a little bit early. And I'll get some good video and put that on the site as well.
That's outstanding. Those of you who don't know, Bob was actually born in Texas, so he's acting a lot like a Minnesotan these days. I got to give him credit for that, but he has really pulled together a tremendous amount of people in this effort, and it's just it's incredible to me, the international force this has. So you can be part of something big, and you can also see what your dollars are doing on the website, so that's great.
Absolutely. But we've got a little more entertainment coming up here. And this is another wonderful musical piece. And Bob, maybe you can give a little more background about our Ukrainian priest who's going to be joining us with some information. So
let's see if it gets Igor up and moving.
Yeah, exactly. Bob, you want to give an intro?
Yeah, this is an interesting fellow. I don't know if Marta Bielska is still on, but Marta is the communications director at Second Medical Union. And as she was introducing me around on my first trip, she introduced me to Pastor Volodya, who you'll meet, but she also introduced me to a wonderful Catholic priest. He's actually from Poland. His name is Father Łukasz Lesniak. And he has a church that Marta attends here in the I was telling him about this event, and he said something that really surprised me. He said, well, if you're going to have music, would you mind if I perform? And it's not often I hear that from a Catholic priest. And so I have to tell you, I was a little bit taken aback, and I said, well, Father, can you maybe share with me, some of your music? And I thought maybe, he might show me some written music or something like that. Well, he referred me to his YouTube channel, and you're about to see a sample of his music, which I think you'll find quite extraordinary.
All right. So with that, we will go ahead and start.
Co Bóg złączył, człowiek niech nie rozdziela. Małżeństwo przez was zawarte ja powagą Kościoła katolickiego potwierdzam i błogosławię w imię Ojca i Syna i Ducha Świętego. Amen. Opuści człowiek swego ojca i matkę, złączy się z żoną już na zawsze. Taka nauka z Pisma Świętego. Chcesz być szczęśliwy, to trzymaj się tego. Małżeństwo to pierwsze powołanie od Boga. Do szczęścia i miłości najlepsza droga. Dwoje ludzi Chrystus łączy razem, a pomszy klęczą przed matki obrazem. Każde dziecko to dar wielki, o tym wiedzą wszyscy wierni. Dobre wychowanie to niełatwa droga, tu trzeba mądrości od samego Boga. Okna życia domy dziecka. To zjawisko miłości zaprzecza. Żadna instytucja i nawet supermania nie wychowa tak, jak wychowa mama. Ona i on przed ołtarzem małżeńską przysięgę składają razem. Ślubuję ci miłość i wierność oraz, że cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci. Ona i on przed ołtarzem małżeńską przysięgę składają razem. Ślubuję ci miłość i wierność oraz, że cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci. Rozwód, zdrada, przemoc i kasa to małżeństwom dziś zagraża. Jednak źródłem problemów wszelkich jest brak rozmów małżeńskich. Ksiądz, psycholog, terapeuta to ratownik dla małżeństwa. O małżeństwo walczyć trzeba. Ciągła praca to droga do nieba. Prawdziwa miłość wszystko przetrzyma. Hymn o miłości o tym przypomina. Miłość nie zazdrości, nie pamięta złego. Nie jest bezstydna i nie szuka swego. Małżeństwo to sakrament święty. Tu nie pomogą żadne wykręty. Co Bóg złączył, człowieku nie rozdzielaj. Te słowa są ważne od dnia wesela. Ona i on przed ołtarzem małżeńską przysięgę składają razem. Ślubuję ci miłość i wierność oraz, że cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci. Ona i on przed ołtarzem małżeńską przysięgę składają razem. Ślubuję ci miłość i wierność oraz, że cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci. Ona i on przed ołtarzem małżeńską przysięgę składają razem. Ślubuję ci miłość i wierność oraz, że cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci. Ona i on przed ołtarzem małżeńską przysięgę składają razem. Ślubuję ci miłość i wierność oraz, że cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci.
I'd love to actually know what the words stand for. I can't tell, but I sure enjoy that it's got a pretty good beat to it, so that's a wonderful thing. Again, to me, part of this is the diversity of people, of voices, of individuals who are stepping up to support this effort and are part of this effort. And I think that is an amazing aspect of where we're at and what we're doing. And I would ask you all to, again, if you're listening out in the audience, if you're hearing us online, no matter where you are, you can use that QR code that will appear on the screen to use that to go to the contribution site, or you can connect with them and use that there. There are lots of ways that we can, it's going to be down in the word. There are lots of ways that people can make the contribution, but we just ask you to step up and do your part. We've had a lot of support from the individuals in this room thus far, and we're sure appreciative of that. And we've seen some wonderful contributions Bob's mentioned that have come in from out in the community, but we can't stop yet. We still have a goal in front of us, and it's really important that we get there. Scott, you've got a little handle on where we're at in our agenda.
Well, we're getting close to the, I believe we're getting close to the painting auction. We
Yes.
should be fairly close to that while you're all still here. And if you certainly don't be afraid to get up and grab some more coffee or get some lemonade, water,
Absolutely.
pastries, fruit, it's all there. And otherwise, we're going to have to throw it at your car as you leave. So make sure that you help yourself.
That's right, and we know that Bob will have to bow out of here before too long so that he can get to transportation to continue on. But at the same time, we can stay here in this room for a little bit longer. And so maybe, Keys, we can get you to play Vanna White and take this lovely painting and walk around with it and maybe bring it over here and we can hold it up against the camera so our community members can see it a bit better. And I love putting you on the spot, and I know you love me for doing it too. So come on, stand up, move it around. This is a great painting that, Scott, you know a little more about it than I do.
Well, it is signed by the artist, and maybe Igor can pronounce it for us.
Yeah, I'll give a little history if I
go.
can.
Please do,
Yeah,
Bob.
I was actually in Warsaw, Poland, when I saw this painting. There was an exhibit of paintings from Poland, from Ukraine, from Belarus, and this one in particular captured my imagination because, as you can see, it has a piece of black linen over the top of it. You can push that back slightly and see underneath there that there is a beautiful tree painted in blue and green and yellow. And when I asked the artist about that, what she said was that as long as her country, Ukraine, is being attacked by the Russians, that black linen must stay in place. And whoever owns it needs to commit to keep that linen over the top of the painting. You can see a little bit there on the right and left side, but commit to keep the black linen over that beautiful tree until Ukraine is free again. And then it's her hope that you will cut that linen away and let the rest of the world see how beautiful Ukraine truly is.
Helps to turn my mic on. And they're starting, that's about a $250 value of a painting. I guess we're going to start here in Duluth. And why don't we start out with somebody who can make a $50 commitment to it, who can put $50 on the table to have that painting be part of your personal collection? I got to get somebody around here that'd be willing to step up with that. Okay.
We've got 50.
We have $50 available, so do we have anyone that would be willing to go in at 75? Again, the funding from this is going to a really important cause, and a cause that I think we all are behind. That's why we're here. And so I'll take it at a $75 bid. So we're now at 75. Is there somebody else who would like to join in the fun and help us raise some money? Well, okay, we've got a $100 bid in the back corner, so we're at $100. Can I see somebody who's got 125? Again, we're looking at a value of $250, and I'd like to get us up to that level at least. You know, this wasn't donated. Somebody bought it. Bob bought it. Let's help get at least back what he invested into it.
So, just so you know, this is the Linda J. Sherman Foundation is a 501c3 foundation. So Bob's got all that paperwork done, and I've got the letter in my phone.
Yeah.
So if that helps anybody.
Now, our good friend from Ukraine who's here with us in Superior was telling me he's got a little information about the artist and the painting. Do you want to step up to the mic and No. I missed her. Okay.
I was texting with my sister, and I think people might find interesting what she's talking about.
Okay, so we'll get back to that in a minute. But for the painting, we've got a $100 bid. Is there somebody that will step forward with $125? Okay, we've got $125. Can I see anyone step forward at $150? We've got $150 in the back. Wonderful.
Nice.
So can we step it up to $175? Again, you're helping a cause that you truly can be transformational in how we impact the community in Ukraine, while you're also gaining a beautiful piece of artwork, and maybe of even more importance is knowing inside that the funding you have given is truly going to change the world for some of the people in Ukraine.
Plus,
So,
we'd love, if you're the one that gets it, we'd love to have you do a video of you cutting the
absolutely, when the time comes.
fabric
so-
off and sending that, and maybe we can put that up on the
We're
website.
at 175, and do I have anyone that could go up to 2? We're at 175. We've got
We've got
200
2.
in the back. Wonderful. We are at 200, 225. I've got a 250.
250, very
All
good.
right.
Thank you.
So that's brought us up to now we can move into actually collectively raising some money out of it, because now we've met our threshold of what it costs to bring it into the picture. Is there somebody who could go for 275?
So remember, that's an imported painting, too.
Exactly. And you didn't have to pay any, never
No
mind.
duty.
No duty. Do I hear 275? I have 250. Do I hear 275? Got 275.
275.
Wonderful, wonderful. Do I hear 300? I've got 275. Is there someone who would step in at 300? I've got 275. Do I have somebody who will step in at 300? Anyone out there on the line?
Hold on, Bob, are you getting anything online?
Yeah, you've got to unmute yourself, Bob. And then, have you got any contributions that are coming over the bow? How do I get you to unmute? View, go into speaker. You're not.
So we're currently at 275, Bob, here.
There you are. You're now. I can hear you, Bob. Have you had anything happening online? We're at 275. We're looking.
Not as far as the painting goes, but I am seeing additional $100 contributions.
Beautiful.
We're up about 9 of those now, and multiple ones in lower amounts below that.
Can you kind of do a tally in your head about how much money we've raised thus far while we continue to see? Is there anyone that would go in for 275? We got 300 on the table. Anyone that can go at 3? I got 300 in the back. That's beautiful. I've got 300. I will ask if there's anyone at 325. I've got 300. Would anyone like to bid 325? I'm going to take that 300. I'm going to take it as the first closing statement on that. Got that? Do I have anyone that would go any higher? Twice? Sold. So there, Bob, we can add that to the kitty.
Nicely done. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much. So, nothing like asking a man in Ukraine with a few other things on his mind to do some quick math, extemporaneously.
Yeah, so we're at $2,100 on my phone here.
Oh, wonderful. 2,100. That's great.
Fantastic.
Those are the contributions that are going to really have an impact. And if you're hearing our voices, please keep giving. The need is exponential. Even if we reach the 15,000, that's just going to take a niche, just a chink out of how much is needed. So every dollar makes a difference, whether you're pledging at $25 or you're pledging at $25,000. And I know there are people who could do that, and man, if you could, right now would be the time. But it's not the size of the gift, it's the fact that you step up, you lean in, you make that contribution. And that's the part that's really going to make a difference right now. So,
Yeah, also remember that coming into the event tonight, we had some people make some advance gifts.
yep,
And those include our sponsors from Jamar Company, from Hopkins Rotary, and by my quick tally there, we had $4,300 on top of the $2,100 that we've had here, plus what you just sold that beautiful painting for.
yeah, and I've got two checks here, one for $250 and one for $50, and then I have an $80
Put us
cash
around
contribution.
7,000, I think.
Yeah, it's going to put us in that 7,000 range, plus or minus a little bit. So we've made some great moves forward, but there's always an opportunity to give more.
And that opportunity will extend.
Yes,
Linda J. Sherman Foundation. Correct.
we will take an
And if you have a
old-fashioned
camera
check.
on your phone, which I'm sure you do,
Yeah, we can.
even if you're an old brewmeister,
Yep.
point your camera at this, and you'll be amazed. It'll click right on there. Click on that,
Yeah,
and
you
you'll be
use
right
that
in
little
that
QR
foundation.
code reader that's in your phone apps. It's there. They come with everyone now. But you can write a check to the Linda J. Sherman Foundation and bring it up to us, and we'll make sure that it gets to the right cause. So, yeah.
And again, we'll be here till 2 o'clock. We're not going to leave. Bob's got to catch a train here in about 7 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But we're happy to hang around. And
Sure can. Why don't you step up to the mic, Joe?
Hello, I'm Joe Radke. I'm with the Superior Rotary Club. And I've been following the news from Ukraine since the war started, and it's, of course, the devastation is just so hard to imagine that the people of Ukraine are going through. In fact, there was news this week that I read about a prominent, I believe she was an oncologist in Ukraine who lost a child, I believe, from one of the missile strikes. So the impact on the medical community is certainly significant as they try to do their best under horrendous conditions. But the work of Bob and the foundation is wonderful. I'm just wondering, since so many of us here are involved with Rotary, what Rotary's presence is, either clubs in Ukraine as well as from outside Ukraine. If anybody can shed any light on that, I'd be curious to hear about it. I know that Rotary has been involved in humanitarian efforts there, but just if there could be any further comment on that. Thanks.
Yeah, I can comment on that. After the war started, Rotary Foundation made a concerted effort to raise disaster relief funds for Ukraine. And they put out an immediate appeal. They expedited the application process. It's a one-page form. And since the war started, they have raised over $15 million for Ukraine. And about 11.5 million of that has already been given to various causes here. And the applications are still going forward. I just helped draft an application for Nelson Said District, which is 5950, and that application was for $25,000. I'm not sure if that's gone in from the district yet, but any Rotary district in this area that doesn't have a current Ukrainian disaster relief grant outstanding can apply for $25,000 and then reapply once those funds have been spent and the record keeping is taken care of. I went to a Rotary meeting here in Lviv the other night and was able to introduce the work of our foundation to them. And I've already gotten some follow-up contacts from them about supporting the foundation and also about other organizations, medical organizations that we can assist here. So here in Poland, even in Belarus, believe it or not, there are Rotary clubs. Rotary is in every country around the world. It's 1.2 million wonderful people. So even in Belarus, we have Rotarians giving money to support Ukraine. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity and a fantastic credit to Rotary's more than 110, 120 years of existence.
It is, and Rotary is a powerful partner with people and with communities, and we're very happy to partner with them. We need to be clear that this is not specifically a Rotary event. There's a lot of Rotarians behind it and a lot of Rotarians that support it, but we do need to be clear on that. And in some ways, you've always heard about the value with the Rotary Foundation because there's very little overhead. I can tell you right now that the Bob Sherman Foundation is operating with minimal overhead, and the few dollars they're spent, they're simply leveraging to get additional dollars or to get additional support. So again, it's pretty transparent, and it is a way to affect change in a way that's hard to do any other way.
And I'll put a shameless plug in for the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation is one of the top 3 charitable organizations in the world.
Yep.
And you don't have to be a Rotarian to donate. It's just Rotary.org, and you can navigate your way in there. So if somebody's looking for something that'll do a vast amount of good all across the world, our major fundraiser is polio, eradication of polio, which we just had a little occasion pop back up in the U.S. So We've got about 3-4 years left to make sure it's completely gone. But again, the power of Rotary and the power of people like Bob Sherman doing his own foundation, it's a great place to put your money. And
Yeah.
it will make a big impact in the world.
Yeah. So different ways to affect change, different ways to make targeted investments that will multiply and go forward from there. But the bottom line comes down to we've had some great presentations. We've talked to some different members of the community. We've heard directly from individuals in Ukraine about the situation. And you know, there's lots of times in our life where we kind of do feel like that person watching the car accident happen in front of us, and there's really nothing we can do. There's no connection that we can have to it. We're just a visual. We're just seeing it. I've been doing that for a long time personally. And when Bob reached out to me, I said, you know, Bob, I want to lean in on that. And so we've happily stepped up here to be the MC, but I'm going to lean in a little further, and I'll add $100, Bob, to your cause to be able to say that I've done my part, because it's how I can feel inside I'm doing something. And I have to do something. I cannot watch and not participate. So count me in for $100, Bob, and I'll get on the foundation page and make that contribution shortly, after we're done here.
Okay, thank you for that, Paul. And we're now up to $2,300 in donations, including yours. Just got another one in. And if we can move on to Pastor Volodymyr, I'd appreciate that, because he's my ride to the train station.
Okay.
And if that train, I don't get to Odessa on time for our training on Monday.
Yeah,
so
okay.
that's going out of order here, but we need to get him on here.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. So have him come take a seat there, and we'll bring that forward. Thank you, Father. Take it away.
Hello. Hello, greetings to everyone. Good to see all of you here, and those who are supporting this event, and those who support the work that Bob is doing here. It's making a great impact in Ukraine, and the people who going through all that horrible things that are happening right now during the times of war. My name is Volodymyr Prokip. I'm a pastor here in United Methodist Church, St. John, and also we have a student center here in the church. And since the beginning of the war, our church also started helping refugees, and we became a place where the refugees was able to stay, because on the first days of war, first months of the war, there was a big amount of people who was fleeing from the war from the east, escaping Russian invasion and bombing, and in their eyes you can see that they will need the support in the future, beside of just the things, just clothing, just financial support. They will need to have that support with their post-trauma, post-war syndromes. And there will be a lot of work like that. There will be the after war, and since we still have a conflict, still we have a war, we'll have this area to be covered by someone. And I see how the Bob and the people who support this work is doing the great work, and we will need it in the future more and more. So it's a great thing that the Bob is doing and his foundation. And also we was able to support a lot of people who was escaping. Where they was staying here in the church, we was provide them humanitarian aid, like food, clothing, some financial support, because a lot of people who was escaping, they was literally just in the clothes what they have on them, and all their houses and all the possessions that they have just left in the cities where they was fleeing from. So we was able to provide here in the church all the support. And also since that time, we still have people. Now it's a less, but we still have people who living here, which their cities and places where they're from, they're still occupied by Russians, and they stay here in the church. We help them and provide them food and support what they need. Also, we was able during the work to help people to get to the border, like young moms with the kids, with the small kids, to by car was helping them to get to the Polish border to cross and go to the Europe. So this is the basic things that I think a lot of churches of Ukraine was doing, but there will be like more and more things to do in the future in the rebuilding and the rebuilding of their soul and help people to get to the normal life after war will end. And we hope that work that Bob is doing will really help Ukraine. And it's really encouraging the people like Bob who's coming to Ukraine, and we have a war right now, and he's going to Odessa, which is more danger than the Lviv, the city where we're right now. And he's keep doing this great impact and changes in our country. So thank you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, it is amazing to me to sit back and to watch the effect that Bob is making through his work. And I'll draw a parallel from what I often will talk about with the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation is Rotary's muscle. The Rotary Foundation is what amplifies and often will match contributions from clubs as they're going to do things. Well, right now, we're the muscle for Bob. We're the ones, as we make our contributions, that are allowing him to have the resources he needs and for the foundation to have the impact and be able to help at the church, to help with the youth center, and to be able to affect change. And I imagine, Father, that you've got in your mind a list that long of different things that could be funded that would help. And I can't even begin to fathom what the collective need of the Ukraine is. It has been blown to smithereens. When you see the images and you watch the communities and you know, it harkens me back to the only other time I've seen photos like that is when they talk about London after the Blitz, you know, and you see these hollowed out shells and you see these areas that are just ruined. And we're seeing that now, current day. This isn't a history book, it's happening right now. And those people's homes, the businesses, the churches, the service centers, the stores, gone. So we've had another contribution. We want to thank our friends, the Wandolkowskis, for stepping forward, and thank you very much for your gift. And I'm sure Bob has had a few more people coming in online, but I can't stress enough that right here, right now, is when it's going to make a difference. And we're all thinking alike. Our minds are all focused, as we should be right now, on the endeavors of the Linda J. Sherman Foundation. And so while we're on it, you know, we often will say, one of these days, yeah, I got to make a gift. And I'll make the gift. Don't worry. Now. Do it right now. Be part of our community as we all band together and help support the effort. You're hearing our voices. You're hearing the people in Ukraine talking about what's going on. You've heard some great music. Let's all come up together and close it up. I know, Bob, you've got to be getting on the road here pretty quick. But we're not that quite travel impaired at this point, so we're going to stay here for a few more minutes in the hotel and continue to feed out to the areas. But Bob, why don't you bring us together with some closing words that about where you're at and how you feel about what this has been so far.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. This is a country that, whether we want to admit it or not, is fighting World War III for all of us. They're not just fighting for themselves, for their country. If they were to lose this conflict, we would lose Eastern Europe, countries like Poland, Moldova, Lithuania, Latvia, and God knows what else. So for those of you that think that this is a war going on 5,000 miles away and, oh yeah, you know, there's this bad guy Putin and he'll never use nuclear weapons, you need to wake up. Please understand that Ukraine is fighting for us. I was walking down the street yesterday near one of the recruiting offices, and I saw a sight that's going to be burned into my brain for the rest of my life. It was a young man, obviously a soldier just back from the front, who was walking on 2 prosthetic legs, held on one arm by either his wife or his partner, I'm not sure, and on the other by his mother. And he was walking slowly down the street, and you could tell where he had been. There was no guessing about that. These are sights that you see every day in Lviv. They are sights that I will see in Odessa tomorrow. But these are incredibly strong, brave people. There are men out there fighting and dying every day. There are women here that are taking care of it. You know, Olia's mother is a good example of that. She makes camouflage nets for the military, and she and the people who make those nets just set a national record for one, over 2,200 square meters in one camouflage net to protect one piece of Ukrainian artillery. That's what's going on here. That's who's stepping up to protect not only Ukraine, but America. So let's stand with them militarily, from a humanitarian standpoint. Let's pray for Ukraine and do everything we can. So with that, I'm going to take your leave. I'm going to leave it in Paul's hands and Scott's hands, and you guys stay and have a good time. Eat up all that food, because otherwise Paul has to take it all home with him.
Yeah, that won't fly with my wife.
Godspeed to you.
Thanks a lot.
Absolutely, Bob. Thank you so much, and Godspeed on your travels. And
Thank
keep
you.
us in the loop. Let us
I
all
will.
know.
Now follow me on Facebook. You'll see every day.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I'm going to inject here for just a moment and say I know that there are a lot of political persuasions and different perspectives on what's happening in Ukraine, but I ask us all to take a moment to think just as people and just think about, leave out your politics, because right now we're talking about how we help individuals whose lives have been shattered. And that supersedes politics, and that supersedes perspectives and likes and dislikes. Forget all that. You know, you've talked about how your sister's impacted and how it's felt to you. And we were really hoping to have a couple of the students who are here from Ukraine at St. Scholastica to step in. But I don't need to really hear from them. I've seen through the media imagery, but I've also heard firsthand right here tonight of how tonight in Ukraine, today in the United States, in Duluth and Superior and Minneapolis, this afternoon, and with those now exceeding $7,000 that we've raised, that's about halfway to the goal that we started out with, saying we wanted to raise 15. So we can do that. One of the things that'll be happening is that there is a YouTube site that you can go to. We've been flashing it occasionally up onto the screen, which is going to be the recording of all this, and it's going to stay up there. And so at any point, you can go back in, you can share that URL with a friend, so they can watch and hear all the words that we've said here, and be able to use the QR code at any time, or write out a check, drop it in the mail. There is the address on the Linda J. Sherman funding site where you can make an online contribution, and somewhere in there has got to be his address where you could just mail him a check. But the point here is that we've gained some momentum. Bob and I talked before this, and he said, you know, I'm hopeful on what we can do. And I said, Bob, I think we'll do better than you think, because this message is so compelling. there's so much behind this, and we ask you to do your part. Take it away, Brother Scott.
All I can say too is this has been just a tremendous turnout of
Yeah.
quality people who have dug deep. And if there's still time, and if you change your mind and want to do something more or do something later on, that's fine. Happy to do that. We'll keep track of
Yeah.
things for you. And like Paul said, it's person to person at this point.
Yeah.
This isn't about philosophies.
Nope.
Like we talk together, and we're kind of different political persuasions. But my only thing was, I don't like bullies,
No.
and I think I'm not alone in that. So, and we've got people that are getting bullied, and they need some help. So we appreciate what you've done for us and for yourselves and for the Ukrainian people. So you're welcome to stay, like he said. Please
And
eat something.
I got a couple of things here too, and that's that I'm going to turn this around. Some of you have made contributions, and I'm going to ask you to step up to the mic and tell me why you did it. Why did you step forward? I'm not going to, come on up, stand in front. You got to hold the mic really close to your mouth. It might seem loud, don't worry, but that's how we can make it heard everywhere. So
My name is Paul,
pull it up. There you go.
and I'm a friend of Bob's. I have been for about over 10 years. And so like you said, you had some medical things. I've had some surgeries and everything, but I'm still walking and I'm still talking. They didn't stop me. I go a little slower now. But what I have noticed is social media makes a big deal about putting yellow and blue, but sometimes I suspect that's all they do. And I'm up here to explain why I'm involved. Yes, I give a little money, I always have, and but why I'm involved is to personally tell people that are on, or give people that are on the social media the opportunity to do a little more. So my quest is, can you do a little more? This includes even my brother and sister. And a little more can mean $5 or it can mean 100, like you said. But that's what I do. I support this by saying, can you do a little more? And I don't have to talk to you because you did a little more already. And but I can say, can you think of the sentence, have you done a little more to people you know, and get this going more?
Wonderful. Thank you. Who else would like to come on
Appreciate it.
forward? You can grab the mic right out of that stand there so you can hold it close to you.
Hi, my name is Don Jensen. And going back a couple generations, my grandpa Walter was actually born in Odessa. And so there's that family connection. But more importantly, and the thing that sometimes scares me, but I realize it's important, I have a nephew named Tim Erickson, who's a emergency physician and toxicologist teaching at Harvard, who has come back now from his second trip to the Ukraine to work as a doctor and as a teacher. And so every time he goes, of course, I get scared. But on the other hand, I know how necessary it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Somebody else. Oh, you can just set it on top of, there you go, that works.
Dr. Bob.
Doctor, then come on in, Dr. Bob.
Well, I'm Bob McClellan from Superior Rotary Club, and also head up our foundation committee, and just echo Paul's thoughts about how our foundation makes such great use of the funds, and very little of it is administrative. Most of it goes to programs, and just like Bob's Linda Sherman Foundation, that money is all going to be used. There's not administration fees involved with that. It goes direct to the cause. And I know our Rotary Club also, and I don't know if that's counted in the dollars, but also has a $500 contribution in that total as well, that our international fund put towards that as well. And I can't say more than the rest of you have said about the tragic situation in Ukraine, and and how how much we take for granted on, all the great things we have in this country, and just giving a little bit can really make a difference over there. So thanks to Bob and organizing all this.
And thanks to you, Dr. Bob, because again, not only have you been financially supportive through the efforts of the club, when I gave Bob a call earlier this week and said, we need a little help, there's a lot of gear here that we had to transport. And unfortunately, I am not in a position I can drive. Bob couldn't make it, but he volunteered his daughter, who did an amazing job to help us out this morning. So I want to do a big thank you out to Creed for her help and assistance. I also want to say we just got another $200 contribution from some folks here in the room, and we're awfully glad that they stepped forward and did their part, which we greatly appreciate. And we want to keep doing just that. And I'm hoping that as you're hearing us out, wherever you are, the beauty of the net, I'm an old broadcaster, so I always think of, our signal goes out so far. Well, that's a whole different thing when we're talking the web, because it's anywhere. And whether you are in Odessa or wherever you're hearing this, you I hope have had a glimmer and a thought and a view in your mind of how dire the situation is and how personal your contribution can be to affect change, to make a difference, to help somebody, to help a community, to help an individual whose life has been shattered. And I thank each and every one of you who stepped up to do that. That is phenomenal. There are people in this room who have been incredibly generous. There are people online who've been watching us who have also been incredibly generous. Thank you. But I know that at least a couple of you have not yet stepped up to do your part. And maybe you're waiting, which is just fine, but I ask you to make sure you step up and you do your part, so that we can say we made a difference and we stood up and we were counted and we weren't just passively watching. I spent a lot of the years of my life passively watching things, and I've realized it doesn't do a damn bit of good. And so I lean in lots of ways, because that's how we make change. And I thank all of you for what you've done thus far, because it is making difference and the impact is huge. Scott, thoughts?
Well, part of this, as we've been leading up to this, was how do we make it easy as possible? And again, that QR code was one of the ideas we had. It's just like, a lot of times you want to do something, and we know you want to do something. And but how do you get started? You may not be as familiar online as some of the younger people are. There's a lot of us that are close to my vintage that I've had to do it for professional reasons, so I kind of know my way around there. But still, just to make it easy, and because a lot of times you want to do it, you don't know how. So hopefully we made it that way. But again, Linda J. Sherman Foundation is where you go online to that, to Google that, and that'll put you there. And again, a lot of you have made it easy for us, because you've walked up and handed us nice contributions, and we certainly appreciate that. I know Bob does. He was really nervous about this whole thing leading up. It was actually kind of fun to watch. But
it was.
Again, this is his 4th trip over there. Mm-hmm. So he's certainly put his money in his body where his mouth is, which, again, is something that I'm very, very impressed by. You got to take your hat off to somebody that's willing to do that.
Yeah.
And those that have known Bob for a while are not surprised by this. So you guys are putting it in a great place. And again, Rotarians, we're represented by club presidents, past district governors here. So Rotaries come out like they always do to support things. And individual citizens stepped up, which is just great to see. And like I say, if any questions or anything, don't hesitate. We're happy to answer them.
Yeah, or comments. Again, we've got an open mic. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your words for how this is meant to you. And, we thank you all for doing your part. We've got a little bit of time left. I think maybe what we'll do for a moment here, I've got one more of the Strike Point videos that I can pull up here.
Holy bells.
Holy bells is right. Let's go ahead and play this next song. And we'll keep listening.
And if you know it, you can sing along. Dr. Bob, again, bringing $500 from Rotary Club 40, and a $600 pledge that came from Coppertop Church, and $500 from Rebecca Sherman as well. So, again, there's people all over the world, all over the state that have contributed to this, and I think we've made a great account of ourselves here in Superior, Wisconsin. Yep. Thank you for coming out, and really appreciate what you've done today. Thank you, and prayers to all of you in Ukraine. We're with you.
Absolutely. All right. We'll wrap this up. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your day.